Thank you. Nice touch on the song. Nothing to make a crowd clap their hands by telling them to clap your hands, so thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today and having the opportunity to introduce our closing keynote today. My name is Tiam Rastegar. I'm the Executive Director at Trailhead. We are Boise's only co-working space / startup incubator, and our mission is to accelerate the founding, growth, and scaling of new business ventures right here in Boise. And we do so by providing early-stage entrepreneurs with a curated set of resources in the following categories. We provide educational programming, mentoring. We provide experiential learning through pitch competitions, and we also are involved in the ecosystem building. And we do so by putting up Boise Startup Week. I'm actually the co-chair, and it's a marquee event in Boise every year. The next one will be in October of this year, and it's an event that's put on by the community for the community. And that said, before I actually get to introduce our closing keynote, I do want to acknowledge the work that the IBL team is doing, bringing back and resurrecting this much-needed and relevant event for our business ecosystem right here in Boise is something I want to congratulate them on. And thank you specifically to Nick, Lauren, and Anna Marie, which to me is the IBL team. So please join me in giving them a round of applause. Now to our keynote. Our closing keynote is the Director of Enterprise Analytics and Data at Micron, and he leads a team of over 200 people. That's a big team. I lead 2 people, and I find myself pulling my hair out over those 2, so I can only imagine what Tim has to go through with 200. Prior to leading the enterprise data science team, Tim led Micron's workforce analytics team in developing predictive hiring and attrition models for its global workforce. He leads Micron's global analytics function to enable data-driven business processes through the custom development of big data, machine learning, AI, and other analytic solutions. The results of his analytics leadership have been recognized by Forbes, TDWI, CIO 100, Brandon Hall Group, Stevie Awards, Wall Street Journal, and many others. So given the fact that I'm actually the quite opposite of a data analytics subject matter expert, there is one thing that Tim and I have in common, and that is we like soccer. So Tim also used to be a youth soccer coach at Meridian Pal. Tim received a Bachelor in Engineering from the University of Wyoming and a Master in Business Analytics from NYU Stern. And without further ado, please help me give a warm welcome to Tim Long, our closing keynote.
Thank you. I'm going to have to get a copy of that bio that's much better than the one I wrote and prepared, so thank you for that. Okay. It's really exciting to be here. I love talking with people that are as interested in artificial intelligence, machine learning, analytics as I am. So it's always great to meet with peers and people in tech that are interested in pursuing this field. Before I get started, I thought I'd share just a story that last night I was a little nervous delivering the keynote presentation today. And I shared that with my wife, and she gave me some really great advice. She said, just try not to be too smart, too cute, or too funny, and you'll be fine. Just be yourself, she said. So that'll be my goal today, is just be myself. I'm going to share some perspectives that I have on artificial intelligence and how it's at the core of so many different innovations occurring in different industries today. Let's start by talking about what is artificial intelligence. There. I find it important to align on the definition. Artificial intelligence can mean many things to many people. And I find the simplest definition, a way to think of artificial intelligence, is the imitation of human capabilities. That's it. Robots, computers, electronics trying to imitate human capabilities like seeing, hearing, feeling, making decisions. These are all things that we think of are germane to humans, and artificial intelligence is the pursuit of doing that through some other means. The core of artificial intelligence, what's really enabling artificial intelligence, is what's called machine learning. Machine learning are the collection of algorithms that learn from historical data. So they see things happen, they see rows and columns of data, and they're able to find very rich patterns in that data and link it to some kind of an outcome or observation. Right? So the way that machine learning can enable artificial intelligence is to find the patterns that would lead to being able to see something, hear something, feel something, or make decisions. And the best, the most powerful of all the algorithms within machine learning that's really enabled artificial intelligence to make these extreme breakthroughs in the last few years is what's called deep learning. And deep learning is inspired by the human brain, by the biology of the brain, that can detect very, very rich patterns in very complex data. Data that we wouldn't necessarily think of as data. Photographs, video, sound, bodies of text. This is really where deep learning has unlocked the potential of these very rich and complex data sets, leading to some pretty big advancements in artificial intelligence. So before we go into what is currently happening with artificial intelligence and innovation, let's talk a little bit about where we came from. I always think this is fun to think about all the different advancements along the way and just how much of an explosion of AI has happened in the last few years. So we start out in 1955, where the idea of artificial intelligence is born, again, imitating human capabilities. And the first marker here in 1961 is a robot known as Unimate. And Unimate was simply an arm that could learn gestures and repeat those in a manufacturing assembly line, used at General Motors in the manufacturing of cars. Also made famous on the Johnny Carson show as having the ability to shoot a golf ball into a paper cup. Fast forward a little bit to 1964. Before we had Siri and Alexa, we had Eliza, where through a computer terminal we could type and hold very basic conversations with Eliza. She learned to respond using the basic grammar rules of English language, could ask simple follow-up questions, could give you affirmations, and really this was sort of the genesis of the computer taking a personality. In 1966, robots started to move. Shaky was the first mobile intelligent robot. And if you're wondering why it's called Shaky, it's because it, quote, shook like hell when it moved. It was very rudimentary hardware, but very advanced software. The first robot to really understand where it was at in space. It could navigate rooms, it could see walls, it could detect objects, and it could react. So this was very innovative at the time. And these algorithms that were developed as part of Shaky are still at the core of many autonomous vehicle algorithms today. AI went dark for a little while, but then in 1997, IBM revives artificial intelligence with Deep Blue, a very large supercomputer with 256 processors that beat Garry Kasparov, the world champion of chess, 4 out of 5 games in a showdown. And they did this through brute force, evaluating 2 million different possible chess moves per second to find which chess move led to the best probable outcome through simulation. In 1998, robots got a personality with Kismet. Kismet could recognize different facial expressions from people and could express his own facial expressions, could recognize tone and inflection as we speak to it, and could react to that. In 2002, my favorite advancement in artificial intelligence gives us a robot that cleans the house for us. The Roomba learns to navigate our home and do simple tasks for us. 2011 gives us my next favorite, which is Siri, made famous by Apple, actually developed at Stanford Research Institute. Siri is able to understand basic voice expressions in text and become our first digital assistants on the phone. 2011, IBM's back, this time to win at television games. What is Jeopardy? defeats the two champions, long-running champions of Jeopardy through its ability to mine so many, millions of documents of text and make sense of that text and provide answers back to or questions back to the game using probabilities. 2014, Alexa enters the scene, helps us with shopping and other type of personal assistant capabilities, including home automation. And in 2017, we're back to playing games again, where Google, now on the scene, brings deep learning to the picture to defeat the world champion of Go with Google's AlphaGo application, by which there are 2 to the 127 different possibilities of game moves on the game board. And if you're trying to think through what that means, it's basically a number with 51 digits in it. So these are huge, massive computational problems that AI is now playing a role in. So if you're of the mindset that AI is about these humanoids walking amongst us that one day will take over the world and will be leading us, we will be their pets, as some people like Elon Musk have asserted, don't worry, that capability is not there yet. And so really, I think the way that's most productive to think about AI is not these robotic, people-like objects that are mixed in within our life, but it's to think of it in a narrow context. These different applications of AI and how they can be innovative within our industries. So I'd like to share some of those examples with you today. But before I do that, maybe we should get aligned on what innovation is, because I've been in countless debates of people saying, well, that's not innovative. Somebody else already did that, or that's not innovative. AI already exists. That's not innovative. And really, I think as you are out working in your business and you're thinking of how do I innovate within my enterprise, I challenge you to think of it this way. If you can find a change that will radically change the answer to one of these 7 basic questions of your business, then you have an innovation on your hands. If you can change the who, what, where, when, and why, the 5 W's, a how or a how much, 2 H's, then what you have is some innovative capability. And so I'm going to share with you some ways AI is doing this in different industries. This is a view of a factory, a Micron factory, where we make memory chips. These are the little chips that you might find if you were to take a small screwdriver to your mobile phone, your tablet, your computer, or these days, even a bigger screwdriver to your car, or maybe a server room, or anywhere really electrons are flowing. There's a good probability of memory being involved. And in Micron, manufacturing memory is at the core of our business, and we do this at scale using all sorts of automation. So what you may notice in this photograph here is there's no people here. Now, in reality, there are always people working in the factory helping to improve its efficiency and troubleshooting. But in general, so much of what we do is already automated. But the place that is innovative today is not through further automation, but is how we're bringing AI to the manufacturing process. So a couple examples of that. The first is we're using computer vision and deep learning to look at photographs of the product as it's manufactured. So we're using AI to see what the product looks like and to radically change when we can identify problems in the manufacturing process. So we're able to detect using all the gradients of colors and the hues and all the information that's available in that photograph. We're able to detect if there are problems in the manufacturing process and predict the yield of that product months before or weeks before we're able to physically test it. That's one example of how we're using AI to see what's happening on our shop floor. Another example where we're using AI is to listen. So we have microphones within some of our tools, and we're recording each run of the process on that tool. And one would expect if you run the same product on the same tool over and over, you ought to hear the same acoustic signature. So we're looking for, we're listening in this case for things like, snap, or a crackle, or a pop in the manufacturing process that could indicate there's something wrong here and we need to investigate. So we're using AI in this case to radically change how we are detecting issues in the process. And then lastly, one of the most innovative applications of AI that we're developing is the use of thermographic imagery. So similar to computer vision, processing pictures, identifying defects within our product, we're deploying thermographic videography, where we can sense the temperature profiles across our factory floor, identifying tools or pumps that may be having abnormalities in their temperature profiles, or identifying potential gas leaks if we can see a visual plume emitting from a pipe or something like that. So we have radical changes here with how much of the floor we're able to cover in our safety evaluations. So those are a few examples for manufacturing. At Micron, we're very proud of the success of these investments. In fact, we can attribute some pretty sizable results to our smart manufacturing investments with about a 25% lift in our ability to achieve our yield curve faster, so getting our products to market faster with high yield to get our margins up. We're also able to attribute an overall 10% increase in output through different yield and utilization projects that we've led through the factories. And then lastly, we're able to deliver higher quality product to our customer by catching and containing quality events sooner before we ship those out to our customers. So we've had a lot of great success, and there's a lot more to come in manufacturing, but let's think about this from different industries. Not everybody here is a Micron high-tech manufacturing employee, although I have seen some of my peers here. Let's think about a different industry. Looking at retail. Retail is really interesting. I want to talk about a few examples that are both for brick and mortar retail as well as online retail, because there's innovations happening in both places. Now, it's true that the big box stores or the very large retailers are the ones really driving the innovations here. And some of them I think are particularly interesting. You can see at Walmart and at Lowe's, where they've taken this idea of the Roomba and maybe a little bit of shaky, and they've put together these bots that can roam the stores. And in the case of the Low bot, he's roaming the store and able to be approached by customers. Lobot speaks 20-some different languages, and people can ask Lobot, can you please take me to the sprinkler section, or can you please show me where I can find a filter for my refrigerator, or whatever I'm looking for. And Lobot can take the person directly to the product. While Lobot or Walmart's bots are cruising through the store, because they're equipped with cameras, they're also able to monitor the shelves. And they're able to see in real time if shelves are low, if stock is low, or if things are misplaced, right? So these are some pretty significant changes or radical changes to how they do inventory management and who is interacting with the customer and how they're getting the customer what they need sooner. Of course, Amazon, if you follow any of this field, you've probably heard about Amazon Go. Amazon is making huge disruptions in retail, in brick and mortar now, through their Amazon Go stores. They're in, I think, 4 different cities now. And the way this works is you go into the Amazon Go store, you use your phone to badge in, essentially, to say, hey, I'm a Prime member, here's my identity. And then you walk about the store, you take things from the shelf, you put them in your cart, and you just walk out. They're radically changing how checkout is being done through the use of computer vision and deep learning to monitor your location as you move throughout the store, when you take items from the shelf, when you put them in your basket, when you put them back, and they charge you automatically. And this has led to some pretty significant impact to what you can do in terms of price per revenue per square foot of a store. If you could eliminate the whole checkout experience, you can eliminate that square footage in the store. You can also, improve the customer experience because they don't have to talk. It's even better than the express checkout lane, right? And then lastly, an example here of online, which probably creeps some of you out, but because you leave these fingerprints as you shop online, your behaviors are able to be mined through these algorithms. And the algorithms can learn to understand things about you, including your shopping behaviors. What is your likely willingness to pay for this product? Will you value it more than somebody else will? And they can use that information along with an estimated prediction of how likely are you to buy. and target you with different incentives, specialized incentives based on understanding those behaviors, right? So maybe they've identified you as somebody that's really cheap and you spend a long time researching. They may use that information to target you with an incentive they believe is perfectly set to capture your business. And through doing this, they're able to maximize their overall revenue and margin, of course. So although we still don't see all these robots in stores, the algorithms are at play and they're being developed, and I expect over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, you'll see more of this type of activity. Maybe we'll have an Amazon Go here, I don't know. But you'll see more of this disruption of AI within retail. I mentioned that some of this is driving increased foot traffic within stores by 13%. We have a 1.5 or 50% lift in revenue per square foot that Amazon Go is able to achieve with cashierless checkout. And then with some of the behavioral analytics, we're not able to target you better with incentives, but we can also understand when your behavior is abnormal and catch the fraud that's occurring by as much as 4 times more. So lots of things happening in retail. Let's switch again and talk about another industry. We're in Idaho. We have to talk about agriculture. I'm sure there was some good presentations earlier today on how technology is being deployed across agriculture, but some of the ones that I find really interesting as it relates to AI is the idea of, again, taking this computer vision and deep learning and attaching it to a tractor. And the benefits of this is with the cameras right at the point of the crop, they can, in real time, detect weeds or other problems in the crop and treat them precisely with the right chemical needed to do the job. So rather than blanketing the entire crop with a crop duster, they're able to pinpoint accuracy, spray the crop or the problem in the crop. So this is pretty amazing capability. An additional capability that I think is fascinating within agriculture is the idea that you could use these robots or autonomous harvesting. As I understand it, and I'm not a farmer, I've never even worked on a farm, but I can appreciate that labor would probably be a very large farming expense. And from what I understand, that having dependable and reliable labor when you need it on the farm can be a challenge. So having the autonomous robots there to be able to help with the harvesting could be a very large benefit within agriculture, specifically in the fruit harvesting, which I understand may need harvested multiple times a week based on ripeness of the fruit. And then lastly, in the sky, we have drones that are being developed that can monitor crop health, soil health, capture statistics about the climate, and relay that information back to models that can help farmers get ahead of any type of yield problems in their crop so they can maximize the overall output. So some of the statistics I found here, up to 10x gain in your labor productivity through some of this. And one thing I think is even more meaningful, at least to me as a consumer, is the amount of reduction of herbicide or pesticide that needs to be applied to the crop, up to 80, as high as 90% for some of the research that I saw. So very disruptive here in terms of how pesticides are being applied, who's doing the work, radical changes in innovation. So lastly, let's talk about an industry that's all very important to us, especially as we age. I turn 40 this month, in about a month, so this is something that's top of mind to me as I get older. And I'm thinking about how will AI innovate within medicine. So similarly to some of the examples we've discussed, we have the ability for these machine learning algorithms to synthesize all the data that's being captured in a hospital today. So if you think of all the vital statistics that are being monitored while you're wired up to all those machines, machine learning algorithms are now available to predict things, for example, unexpected death. So monitoring all of these things to say, hey, the probability of some type of a catastrophic event or a code occurring here are elevated. So rather than the simple alarms that we've grown sometimes numb to, these can be more precisely tuned and alert the medical staff to react to a situation that is likely to occur. As in other examples, there's a play for computer vision and deep learning here with all the medical imagery that exists. CT scans, x-rays, even photography of the eye. All these images that have been labeled by medical professionals over time can now be mined with artificial intelligence, and we can report instantaneously on the probability of different conditions existing in that imagery. So examples where this is in play today include assessing between malignant or benign tumors in mammograms, identifying hemorrhaging in the brain from CT scans, or detecting fractures in bones, and the list is really many. And lastly, there are other opportunities where machine learning is making a big disruption in how soon or when we can discover drugs. And one of the things about drug discovery is it can take quite a long time. That's why they tell us it's so expensive. One of the reasons why they're so expensive. And machine learning is able to really crunch the probabilities of different molecules being effective to treat different conditions. So this is a way they're expediting the discovery of new drugs with machine learning. Additional capabilities here could also include things as simple as recommending the best time to take your medication, or in some places actually recommending different treatment plans that are personalized to you, that are most likely to be the most effective. And although it's still early, a lot of this is just in the research phase, and it takes time to get FDA approval, and you know, it takes time to get these into the medical workflows. McKinsey's done some analysis here, and they see this as a huge market opportunity, over $300 billion in potential savings of bringing AI to the table to help advise healthcare. Or additionally, through all these benefits of recommending the right treatments, diagnosing sooner, making diagnoses more accessible to people, all of these type of benefits they expect to lead to a significant impact to the human lifespan, which is good for all of us. So I hope I've shared several views here of how artificial intelligence, I think, is very relevant to many industries. We could have talked about 6 more industries, but I understand there's a happy hour after this, and that's probably why you're still here, if you're like me. No, I'm kidding. But I want you to think about, hopefully you've thought about, wow, there's some really interesting real applications of AI helping to see, hear, feel, or make decisions across all these industries, and maybe you can apply those to your business as well. Okay? As you think of ways to change the 7 basic questions of your business. And for those of you that are still skeptical, or you've watched a lot of Black Mirror episodes and you're afraid of AI taking over the world one day, I'll leave you with a quote from somebody that might be a little bit in your camp, which is, AI will probably, most likely, lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, there'll be great companies, and yours could be one of them. So, all right, thank you very much. Stick around. There's an awards ceremony, a quick awards ceremony, and then we'll get to happy hour. Thank you.